Hey, so like everybody else in the world who speaks English, I think that the B word, when applied to women, as in a female dog, is kind of disrespectful, and that's why I'm calling it the B word, right? But then I think of the fact that, okay, you might hear that term used in rap music, but you would also hear the word dog used in rap music in pretty much the same way that you would hear it used with respect to women. As in, this guy is a dog, or this is my dog, he's my friend. And, if you hear a female rapper speaking, she might say, yeah, this girl is my B, and I thought, wait a minute. So here it is that these two words that are used, maybe the B word is used more, but they mean the same thing. They're just, transforming and using a word that is, instead of anthropomorphizing something where you make something human, you're making a human like an animal, right? So using that word, you're applying it to human beings. So why is it that the B word is so horrible when the D word isn't? These are my dogs. These are my good friends. Why is that, so innocuous? And then I thought about, well, there are other words like the C word for women. And for men, it might be this guy is, a dick. Or he might be a prick. And it isn't anywhere near as bad as if you call somebody a C word. I mean, they might both be bad, but they're not equivalently bad. I'm like, wait, this is the same thing again. And when you think of it with respect to a woman, it's like so horrible. So then I'm thinking, is this just with respect? Is it because women are supposed to be, what's the term? Women are sugar, girls are sugar and spice and everything nice. And because you've raised them so high, supposedly, that if you use a bad term, you have to come down that much more further. And that's why it makes it bad. But then I'm thinking, okay, here's the N word. And there are words that would be applied potentially to white people, but they're never really going to be as bad. No white person thinks of them as being that bad. As bad as, not really. I mean, yeah, there's some people who will make a big fuss and make it seem as if they're hurt just as much, but it's not equivalent at all. And the more I'm thinking about this in my mind, the explanation that I come up with is that it's not the actual slur that's bad. It is kind of like the recognition of the reality of society. It seems to me that the slurs are really about peeling back the civility of normal discussion, like, hi, good morning, hello, how are you doing? And getting to the point where you tell the other person, you are less than me. And this is a word that both of us know can apply to you. And there's no real word that you can use to refer to me, to make me feel bad, because the truth is, we both know that hierarchically in society, you are seen as less important than I am. And you're also saying it with a touch of aggression to the point where, hey, potentially there might be some bodily harm involved for you. And that is not really going to come back and hurt me as much as it might hurt you. I think all of that is what's wrapped up in using these slurs, we might say, because other than that, any word that you choose to use, once it's applied to somebody who, and this is the thing, some people may argue and they'll say, well, no, women have achieved equality in society. I was just looking at a documentary, and they were saying that here it is that the service industry, the food industry, restaurant industry, there are actually jobs where if women, and most of these people are women, don't get a tip, they still have to take that tip money to give to the busboys and the cooks and whoever else out of their own pocket. So like one lady was actually explaining that if she doesn't get a tip, she is actually paying to wait on that table, because then she has to give the other people the money from this tip that she never got. Because the idea, I suppose, is that no, you must have gotten a tip, so you are lying, so you have to give us money anyway. So in that kind of what other scenario is there in life where a guy, and yes, guys work in the waiting industry, but I don't know how it works for the busboys and the cooks and whoever else, but I'm pretty sure that they don't get a zero, because as the lady was explaining, after you take out taxes and whatever else from her $2.37 pay per hour, basically she just has a document that says, this is not a check, you get nothing. This is not a check, you don't have anything to get from us, and hopefully you got some money from tips. And she was going through her days and saying that, okay, on one day she got $20 after she worked. Maybe it was a 4 hours shift, I don't know. Another day she got $30. And on the weekend she got like $70, which is horrible. Really, really horrible. And that's where women rank in society. I mean, they were talking about the whole process of tips and how the National Restaurant Association is like the other NRA, and that the whole idea of tipping came about after slavery ended, and it was, I guess, intended to be directed against all of these black people, black women who are out of work. So, I've done another piece about how racism affects white people, and I would imagine that this is like, whoa, what a horrible example. But there's no other male-dominated industry I can think of where you can leave a shift having earned nothing because nobody tipped you. That is crazy. And that's where women rank in society, even American society. There's not been a female president in this country that is, the best place on earth. Like Barack Obama would have said, nowhere else in the world one could achieve this. Well, there's so many other places in the world where women have, even the UK has had 2 prime ministers, one for a really short time, albeit, but at the same point in time, actually it's maybe even more than that, maybe more than 2, because there's Thatcher and then there's other lady. But my point is, I think that slurs, it's not the slur. It's just anything that you apply, any word that you apply to somebody who has a lower station in society, that word can absorb the lower status of the person that it's applied against. It reminds me of with respect to words that like disabled, people we changed from disabled to, what is it, challenged. And there is an idea in that as soon as you change the word, the new word that you change it to, it just absorbs all of the negativity of the old word. And we're in this place where we can't change the word. You actually have to improve people's positions in society. Otherwise, the word just gets, it means the same thing. And we are thinking that we're changing out the word. So people, you can't say that, somebody is the R word, for somebody being slow. You can't say that anymore. You have to say mentally challenged. But then mentally challenged is just as bad as if you said the R word. So it's not about, those words, the specific word. It doesn't matter. It matters if we can actually have an idea that people are actually worth the same. And I think part of that comes to realizing that, we say, money isn't everything. But I guess, for these women who are working for less than the real minimum wage, we can't really say that. But I don't know. I think in looking at it, specifically with respect to women, it seems that there might be things that could potentially be done to get them to be able to stretch $1 more, but that doesn't even matter, really, right? Because if you tell somebody you X like a girl, an innocuous word, is an insult. For half of the population, being called a girl is an insult. And I guess for the other part of the population, being called a man, man hands, or man, some kind of male mannerism, I guess that is an insult, I suppose. But I don't know. If maybe they shouldn't take it as an insult. If you are, let's say, for example, independent, and somebody says you kind of like a man, or you don't need a man, people say those things as insults. But I don't know. But anyway, that was just my thinking. I guess other people have thought about it and said things about it, but it all stemmed from the idea that this person is such a B, and you hear it in rap music. It's like if the rap music is bad, but it's not, because they're using both of the words. It's not like they just say, oh, all these bees, and they never say the word dog. It's just that dog is a throwaway word, right? And even if they didn't say bees, if you say female, apparently female has negative connotations. Even females, here it is, how can I say female? But people who are feminists, many people, feel that the word female is like a shorthand for saying a female dog, and therefore it's derogatory. So now you can't even say female, whereas male, of course, is not in any way derogatory, I guess, unless you want to apply it again to females. But it's just, unless we can get to value or find a reasoning to just value everybody similarly and see that there's worth in everything. Rearing kids is not beneath anybody. Taking care, like serving food, is not beneath anybody. Being a nurse is not beneath anybody. Going off to war and fighting, does anybody want to be, pinned under a hail of bullets? But yet we look at that and we're like, thank you for your service. And as if anybody wants to do that. Aren't there some other ways of, I don't know, this world's crazy, Alright, guys.